Okay, first things first. You fired 6 shots, or maybe only 5, but it doesn't matter because you've got a backup gun. This is a high-standard Derringer D100, and it's a remix on an old classic. The high-standard Derringer was originally released in 1962. These earliest guns can be identified by their markings. First generations will say only .22 caliber. .22 long rifle remained the only chambering for the Derringer up until 1967. That was when the .22 Magnum version was released. The .22 Magnum version itself is probably the most numerous example of these guns. The High Standard Company truly did refer to this pistol as a Derringer. On some later models, that was the only thing actually written on the barrel. And yes, that is the same exact incorrect spelling of Henry Derringer's name that you will find on many different guns. The overall stylings are very reminiscent of the Remington Derringers. We have a few updates with a double-action trigger, some very nice ejectors, and an aluminum grip frame. That shaves some additional weight off of an already light gun. Smooth contours and rounded edges would definitely make this easy to slide in and out of a pocket. And that short barrel and small grip frame definitely allow this to fulfill the concealed part of concealed carry very well. There isn't much of a grip to speak of, just room for a finger, with the rest going in your palm. That still allows for good access to the double-action trigger. Opening this gun is reminiscent to a Smith & Wesson Schofield. You've got a lock on the top strap here that allows for breaking open the gun. If you do it quick enough, you can eject both rounds at the same time. While that definitely aids in the ease of loading, I couldn't imagine trying to do that in a gunfight. Back on the inside, however, we have an elongated slot here through which the hammer will protrude. With each pull of the trigger, the hammer will alternate between striking the top round and the bottom round, automatically switching in between the two positions. On the other side here, we have a small slot milled out of the ejectors. That's so that the hammer won't come in contact with any hard surfaces. On at least this particular Derringer, I've noticed it produces very minimal hammer strikes on this topmost round. That has never failed to fire the gun, so it isn't really a problem. The High Standard Derringer omits a trigger guard. I still wouldn't be worried about this going off in your pocket, however. We've got a long, heavy, double-action trigger pull, but it's still pretty smooth. We've got a nice high-polished shine on the sides of the barrels, but a matte top. I guess that would aid in aiming by reducing glare, but we're seriously hampered by a very shallow rear notch and a short front post. This is definitely a point and shoot like most Derringers. That's not to say that accuracy is poor by any means. I found that I was able to hit targets out to 20 yards or so, and it would probably be serviceable at even further than that. This all culminates in plenty of reports about the High Standard Derringer being used as a backup gun. You'll hear many a story about a cop, chief of police, carrying especially the .22 Magnum versions of this from the 60s onward. If your service weapon only carried 6 rounds or so, an additional 2 from a gun that you could keep in your pocket would definitely be a benefit in any kind of fight. While the majority of these Derringers were chambered in .22 long rifle or .22 Magnum, the design was eventually sold to a company called the American Derringer Co. From them, you will be able to come across some 38s or 9mm in this same design. They are of fine quality, but they also command extremely high prices. We all know that carrying something is better than carrying nothing, and that shot placement is more important than the caliber. So I think you could have way worse options to choose from than this guy right here, and it's pretty solid to boot. No fussing with external hammers, and it comes in a neat case that's sort of like an old watch box. Sadly, I don't believe any models of this are made any longer, so you're going to have to either fight over them on Gunbroker or come across one in a pawn shop, local gun store. But it's a great buy. You will have some options from the aftermarket with these. There will be numerous different methods of carry, along with holsters, and I believe that people still make grips for these, so I wouldn't say your options are limited. My one gripe with the high standard Derringer presentation, this isn't a real medallion. It'd be much cooler if it was.